To the third question of the APCSA 2021 questions, FRQ questions. So over here, so the thing is, let's quickly go through what the question is asking. A high school club maintains information about its members and a member info object. So they have given the description of the member info class over here. So over here, so the thing is over here, it's the member info constructor. So the name, graduation year, and whether the student has a good standing or not as a boolean is passed as a parameter. So probably these are also the instance variables of the member info class. You get the graduation year. There is a getter for that, and there's a getter even for in good standing or not, which returns a boolean. The club members class maintains a list of current club members. The declaration of the club members class is shown below. So this is an array list of member info objects. So member list is the name of the array list, and that's what the member info, it would be having objects of the member info class. The first method that we have to implement in part A is adding the members in this particular array list member list. And over here it adds the new clubs to the members to the member list as described in part A over here. So we'll go down below and see what the part A is all about. So it's add members. It takes an array of names, and then it is int grad year, the graduation year of uh, all the students that are there. So let's see below in part A what's written over here. It says write the club members method add members, which takes two parameters. The first parameter is a string array containing the names of the new club members, and the second parameter is the graduation year of all the new club members. So we have to make sure that all the new club members are having the same graduation year, and the method adds to the member list instance variable. The names can be added in any order. All the members added are initially in good standing. In good standing meaning when we create the member info object, they will be passed as a parameter with the parameter value as true. So let's go ahead and try the solution for part A over here. So you have the member info class over here, and the member info class has this particular constructor. Now this is the constructor which we will be needing for our part A. So let's make the signature of the method over here. So the signature is public void add members. Now I'm adding the members, and over here this is an array string names comma int grad years. That's the parameter of the method over here. So please note that whenever you are making this, the question wanted the paper 2021 wanted the FRQs to be written on a separate piece of paper. So just make sure that the method hopefully was, just follow the signature like they have given in the question. So this is a pretty straightforward method over here. So we just have to go through all the array, go through the array, go through the names in this array. So now there are two ways of going through it. You can do it using a for each loop or the enhanced loop, or you can do it using the regular loop, which is I is equal to 0 and all of that stuff. So the first thing is over here. Now the question is, the first thing is over here, you can have a for loop. So I'm going to use the for each loop over here. So I'm going to say string name colon names over here. So name is going to take each particular thing from that particular array that is created over here. Now the other thing is over here, the name of the list is called the member list. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it in the member list. But please note that member list is an array list of member info objects. That means before we add it into the list, we have to create a member info object. In order to create the member info object, we have to use the constructor of this particular class. So member list dot add is the method for adding it into the member info object. So the thing is, add is the method to add an array list. So the thing is, we will create a member info object. How do we do that? We simply say, there's no space over here, so I'm just writing on the next line. It's new over here, new member info. Member info is the object, and then the first parameter is the name. So over here, that's the name over here. That's going to be the case. The graduation year is the graduation year, which is there. And in the question, it was mentioned that initially all the students are in good standing. All right. So now this is the thing to this particular thing over here. So that means they are in good standing, and it's a boolean. So that means we will pass true as a parameter. That is it. That's all. That's all that is there in this particular method. Now, one of the questions that you might have is the member list created? Now, the question doesn't say that we have to initialize a new member list, array list or not. We can assume that it's already there, and then we can go ahead and just simply add it. So that's all that is there was in part A. Pretty simple, the part A. I don't think that this part would be more than 1 mark, more than 2 marks. So this will be like 1 mark for doing this particular thing, and maybe at the maximum 1 to 2 marks for doing this particular thing. Definitely 1 mark would be for creating the object over here. So this at the maximum 3 marks would be for this particular part, or 2 marks. That's all that was there in part A. So that's there in part A. So now let's go ahead and read part B. Now, what does the part B say? Now, coming back to this one, part B, we have to implement the method remove members int year. So now let's read the description. It says removes the members who have graduated and returns a list. Okay, so let's break it down. So there are two things that we have to do. We have to remove the members also, and we have to create another list as well. So it returns a list of members who have graduated and are in good standing. So now the thing is, we need to be careful over here, because the thing is, we need to just remove members who have graduated, but in the list we need two things: people who have graduated and are in good standing. So let's be careful of that once we are doing this. Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed with the body of this particular method. Now this is going to be this is probably the harder part amongst the two parts that's there. So let's go ahead and make the method, and no space over here. I'm going to just go a little. Okay, public. Now this is array list of member info. I'm a little slow in writing. Member info, remove members. Remove members and int year. So before we proceed, let's see the big description that might be there for this particular method. So let's go scroll down below and let's see the part B. So it says write the club members method remove members, which takes the following actions: returns a list of all students who have graduated. A member has graduated. Now they have told you the definition of being graduated. It's graduated if the member's graduation year is less than or equal to the method's year parameter. So we have to be careful about that. If no member meets this criteria, an empty list is returned. So that means we have to go ahead and create a list first, and then go through each value of the member list. If none of them satisfy, then we just return the empty list. And we also have to make sure that the member list, we remove all the members that are there, regardless of whether or not they are in good standing. So let's go ahead and proceed with the solutions. The first thing we are going to, since we need to create a new array list, so I'm going to say a new array list we need to be creating. So array list of member info. And so I'm going to call it R members, removed members is equal to new array list and again of member info. Please note, writing the type over here is important. I think they might deduct a mark if you don't mention which type of array list it is. Be careful about that. So now the thing is, now we have to be traversing through the member list. Now while doing that, now we have to be a little careful. Now why do we have to be careful is because this thing is talking about removing. That means we will be using the remove method of the member of the array list class. So now in the remove method, we have to be very careful that we remove. Now the thing is, the remove an array list works in a way that you need to make sure that if two consecutive values are capable of being removed, then we need to make sure that we go back in our counter. Now why is that needed? Because that is needed because so that we don't skip removing that particular member from that particular class. So over here, let's see the example that is there over here. Now if you see this example, now let's see this example. Now this is Fox Steve 2018 and Michael Zinn 2017, and it's false. Now if you see, after the method call, it's only Smith, Jane and Garcia Maria who remain in the array list. Now this is a specific example where you can see that two consecutive values are going to be removed from the array list. So the thing is over here, now let's go through the code and we'll understand what problem we might encounter if we don't do something like that. So the thing is, first of all, for over here we will not use the for each loop because the thing is we're going to remove something from the loop, from the list. So we will use the normal loop to go through the member list. So I have int I is equal to 0, I less than over here, then we will go ahead and write member list. It is an array list, so it will be member list dot size, and then we have I plus plus. Okay. Now the thing is over here, the next thing is, now we need to check. Now there are two things that we need to do. We need to first add the members in the new list, our members also. But which one do we have to add? Members who have graduated and are in good standing. So first let us check whether the member is graduated or not. So over here, the way we will do is simply like this. We will say if okay, member list now dot get I, that is getting one member info object, and now for that particular member info object I need the graduation year. So dot get grad year. Now if that is less than or equal to the year parameter which is there over here. Now the thing is, if that is now the case, now the thing is, I'm just going to move this, delete this over here. Now the thing is, if that is going to be the case, now the thing is, then we will check before we remove such a person from the list. What we'll do is, what we need to check is whether this person is in good standing or not. So the thing is, what we will simply do is, if again for the same thing, so member list dot get I dot in good standing. It is already returning a boolean, so you need just calling the method is going to be sufficient. In good standing. If that's the case, then our members is going to have this particular thing. So list of members who have graduated are and in good standing. So this guy is going to come, this person is going to be added. So our members dot add member list dot get I. Now if the person is in good standing, then we're adding it to the our members list. But if the person, if it is not in the good standing, then that person won't be added in the our members list. But the person has to be removed from the member list. So the thing is, what we will simply do is member list dot remove of I. This is the position that we need to remove. And now let's understand, this is an important line we have to do is I minus minus. Now the thing is, if we do the I minus minus, now the thing is, why do we need to do the I minus minus? Please pay attention. So the thing is, over here, in this particular case, we have Fox Steve. Say for example, I is 1 and we removed Fox Steve. So the value of I is 1. And the thing is, the moment you remove, now Michael Zinn comes at 1 position and Garcia Maria will come at position number 2. So the thing is, I is 1. If I go ahead and do I plus plus, I will become 2. And the thing is, if I becomes 2, that means I'm going to skip checking Michael Zinn. Because Michael Zinn, after removing of Steve Fox, was at position 1. So that's why the I minus minus is needed, so that we check that position again. And then at the end, we just simply return, the last thing is returning the R members list. That's there. I am returning the R members list, what I had created. So now the other way that some people might handle this particular situation is, instead of traversing the array list from the beginning, then you can traverse it from the reverse as well. So another possible solution would, the for loop would look something like for int I is equal to, over here, members list dot size minus 1, and then I greater than equal to 0, and I minus minus. When you're traversing backwards, then you don't really need to do the I minus minus. It's not really needed. So either you go from the front and you don't miss, you do the I minus minus, or you traverse backwards and you don't have to do that. All right, so that's it. That's pretty much it in part B. Now, what could be the mark distribution? This will definitely be either out of 6 or out of 7, depending on what part A would be. Creating the array list would be 1 mark. Returning the list would be 1 mark. Going through the array list appropriately would be another mark. And the thing is, now, if you don't do this, if you're traversing this way and if you're not doing this, then that 1 mark probably won't be there. Doing this particular thing will be another 1 mark. Checking whether it is in good standing or not would be 1 mark. That's 1 2 3 4. Adding it, 1 mark, another 1 mark, and then this 1 mark, another 1 mark for this as well. Returning or not may or may not be there, 6 or 7 for one of those two. But yeah, this is, you kind of get an idea of what this is. So, but the thing is, if you forget to do this, I think at the maximum you'll just lose a mark for doing that. So yeah, so that is question 3.